Do-Rag Wisdom here, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Y2K 19.06 and .24. I saw the full page ad in the New York Times on Saturday and almost threw up. I knew this was going to happen eventually because we have a left-wing group of new, Democratic Congresspeople who seem more inclined to anti-Semitism than anything else in regards to my tribe. But we also, which we have not forgotten, which I haven't forgotten, we also have a right wing that is also abusing my tribe, the Jews, by pretending that they support Israel for the benefit of the Jewish people when it is their religious philosophy to get all the Jews into Israel so that Jesus could come back and kill them all, except for the believers. See the wonderful book of Revelations for further information. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez said that we are using concentration camps against migrants at our southern border. And this was when an activist rabbi named Shmuley Boteach put out this full-page ad in the New York Times that condemned AOC for allegedly desecrating the Holocaust. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. Over the next 2 or so broadcasts, I am going to examine Boteach's allegations. Today, if you'll excuse me, because you need to get all the information, I will read in full the ad Boteach placed in the Times. I will follow this up with the reading of a letter that I wrote back to him and sent to his organization, to him personally, on email. I also sent a letter to the New York Daily News, not about Boteach, but about the valid notion that Trump and his GOP built concentration camps at our southern border. Boteach's ad was full of rage. His rage did not match mine because I despise hypocrisy and despise a clergy who make themselves into politicians. Although I'm an atheist, I do not like to write on the Jewish Sabbath. It is purely ethnic and cultural, not a religious thing with me. So I waited until Sunday, filled with this rage because I saw his ad Saturday, to sit down and release my rage against Boteach in a letter. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind when I contend that Shmuley Boteach is using the Holocaust to get Jews to vote for Nazi Trump. I now read the ad. Take a check of the, powerful, I mean, this is designed to get at the situation, the whole outrage that Boteach is trying to show that he against Ocasio-Cortez. And my contention is that the sad thing about this, the tragic thing about this is that this guy, if he is a conservative, if he voted for Trump, it's sad that he's using the Holocaust to get Jews to vote for the Nazi Trump. Okay, here we go. I'll try to read. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stopped desecrating the Holocaust. 6 million Jews were murdered in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. By comparing the United States to the Third Reich, AOC disgraces their memory, our country, and herself. I don't compare this country to the Third Reich. I never did until they put a Nazi in the White House. How's about that? This week, Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez demeaned and debased the Holocaust by comparing the annihilation of 6 million Jews in Hitler's concentration camps in Europe to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE detention centers on the U.S.-Mexico border. The U.S. is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are, she said, decrying a fascist administration and invoking the sacred Holocaust mantra against genocide, never again. Boteach never mentions the fact that this country, the United States, turned back many Jews fleeing Nazi Germany, including one of the most infamous ones was the turning back of the St. Louis. Had passengers of Jews who were sent back to be murdered. Boteach doesn't mention that. AOC's comparison of America to Nazi concentration camps where 1.5 million Jewish children were gassed to death should sicken the heart of every person of conscience. This is not the first time Ocasio-Cortez has trivialized the greatest crime in human history to advance a political agenda, as if he's not trying to advance a political agenda. In April, she shared a photograph from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington in order to defend fellow Rep. Ilhan Omar, whose anti-Semitic attack sparked outrage earlier this year. Ocasio-Cortez's trivialization of the greatest mass murder in human history is both grotesque and obscene. What you're doing, Boteach, is grotesque and obscene. I'm not voting for Trump. 6 million Jews were murdered between 1941 and 1945, averaging approximately 6,000 per day, the equivalent of 2 daily 9/11 massacres for 4 years. Jews were hunted from their homes and herded into squalid, disease-infested ghettos where hundreds of thousands died of illness and starvation. Their decomposing carcasses left to rot on the streets of cities like Warsaw and Lodz. Those who survived were forced into cattle cars for journeys lasting days with almost no food and water and a single bucket into which to defecate. The quote-unquote lucky ones who somehow survived were brought to Nazi concentration camps, and I should add, concentration, forced labor, extermination camps, and Boteach, where they were subject to a selection by the SS. Most were gassed to death immediately upon arrival. The rest were subject to slave labor, where they were to be worked to death amid being regularly shot, hanged, tortured, and subject to live medical experimentation. Their evacuated bodies crawling with lice and surrounded by the stench of death and ash from the ever-burning crematoria. The comparison to America, which liberated the camps, is positively vile. They liberated the camps, but they didn't help much while the camps were being used. Ocasio-Cortez's boorish defense of her revolting remarks, for which she has refused to apologize, and she should not apologize. That concentration camps are not the same as death camps has been refuted by Yad Vashem, who tweeted to her directly. Concentration camps assured a slave labor supply to help in a Nazi war effort, even as the brutality of life inside the camps helped assure the ultimate goal of extermination through labor. Yad Vashem pleaded with her, learn about the concentration camps. To compare the SS and Gestapo to border agents, who I can't stand. That's right, I can't stand these border agents. Especially right after the 75th commemoration of D-Day, a day whereupon thousands of Americans gave their lives to save the world from the abomination of Nazism, is an abomination. And you, Boteach, are also an abomination. I'm a Jew. I'm not voting for Trump. I'm supporting Democrats, Boteach. We believe in an American immigration policy of openness to those fleeing persecution and a commitment to never separating parents from children. America should always be a sanctuary for the oppressed. You're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses yearning to be free. We agree that the humanitarian crisis on the border must be immediately addressed in a bipartisan fashion. But Americans are not Nazis. We're not saying all Americans are Nazis, you stupid idiot. Just Trump and his GOP, you bastard. But Americans, like she says, are not Nazis, and belittling the extermination of European Jewry for political gain is abhorrent. As if you don't want Trump for another 4 freaking years, you clerical scumbag! The righteous citizens of the Bronx and Queens who form New York's 14th Congressional District should make it clear to their Congresswoman that they will never again allow her to desecrate, politicize, or trivialize genocide and the Holocaust. Well, if we allow the concentration camps and our southern borders to continue, the separation of children from their parents to continue, those extermination camps, those forced labor camps will be here more sooner than you'll ever know it. To be continued, you rabbinic clerical bastard!